Hey guys, this is Arnav from Coding Blocks, and you might remember a recent series of videos that I did is to build the Realworld.io application, which is basically a clone of Medium, a blogging site, and I did that in Vue.js. So I used Vue.js completely, purely using JavaScript. We were using Babel to transpile our code, but it was all JavaScript. But Vue is one of those frameworks which is very versatile, and one of the beauties of that is that Vue.js can be also used with TypeScript. And when you use Vue.js with TypeScript, it's not just like renaming your .js files and .ts files and giving some type annotations and all of that. It completely changes the way we write our code in TypeScript. So what we'll do is we are going to go back and build that same project. If you just remember, I can just go through that once again. So what we're trying to build is the real world example app, which like the great guys at Thinkster have set up. It's basically a standard API spec based on which you can create any front-end app or any back-end app. And there are a bunch of front-end apps. People have built apps using Angular, Vue, React, Ember.js, and many of these frameworks. And so similarly, people have built a lot of back-end apps which generate the exact same API, which is in Node or in Django or in Laravel or Java and so on. So what we're going to do is we will build a real-world front-end application which would look exactly like this, which is you go to the website and we can see like there's a feed, which is my feed. You can open like articles, and you can see that article. You can follow or unfollow some users. You can favorite some users and you can unfavorite users and stuff like that. And you have like you see the global feed when you're not logged in, and you see tags and all that stuff, and then you can sign in. And I have an account using a@cv.lk. You can go and create an account yourself too. It's an open API. You can create an account. If you create an account, you can sign in with that, and then you see your own feed. You get a global feed. You can change your settings, your URL to your profile picture, your username and a bio data and all of that stuff. And we can write new articles. We can give our article some title and stuff. Let me just fill this up with some random stuff. Publish this article. So we can like create new articles, and people can write comments on our articles. So yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. Now people have, what they've gone about is they've built this exact same front-end app using multiple different frameworks. And if you like open a couple of them, like you open the React one and you open like the Angular one, and you see that there we go, exact same stuff, right? Exact same thing generated using all these front ends. So today we're gonna use Vue.js, of course, as our framework, but along with that we will also be using TypeScript as a language in which we are writing. And Vue.js has got a really good TypeScript support. So there is official type declarations. Like if you're using the Vue constructor, then this constructor has a certain parameter types and all that type. So Vue.js comes with default type declarations for TypeScript. In this video, I'm going to assume you know a bit about TypeScript. I'm not going to cover TypeScript from the basics, but if you want to cover TypeScript from the basics, you can check out our TypeScript series of videos, which are also on our YouTube channel on Coding Blocks, which you might really love. If you have no idea about TypeScript, you can just check out those videos. But this video is going to assume that you have a little bit of idea about how to use TypeScript. And we're going to use Vue CLI version 3, which means that when we set up our project, it is going to have all the transpiler and linting and all that support already out of the box. So let's get started with our project. Okay, we'll be using what we'll be doing is let me just okay. So let's open our terminal and let's start creating a new project. So I'll do Vue create say real world Vue TS, something like this. Just increase the font size for people to see it a little better. Yeah, okay. So well, we'll select some of the features that we need for this. We need Babel and we need TypeScript. So TypeScript will transpile our TypeScript code from TypeScript into ES 2015, but Babel will transpile it one level more from ES 2015 to ES5 so that it can run on the really old browsers. We would need the router and we would need VueX because this app is going to have a lot of pages, so we need router, we need state management, we need VueX. We can take use of CSS preprocessors. I think we don't need that because we're going to be using Bootstrap here, and we'll be using the linter and formatter, and I'm gonna put a tick mark on unit testing and end-to-end testing. So I think we would be using some kind of testing framework in our project so that we can write tests for our components and we can write tests for our entire app as well. Okay, going forward, do we want to use class style syntax? So this is a question that comes when you're setting up a Vue.js project using TypeScript. You don't get this question if you're not setting this project with TypeScript. So I'm gonna go yes in this, and we will see a very new syntax in our Vue.js code when we use this. So do we want to use Babel alongside TypeScript for auto-detected polyfills? I'm gonna go with yes for this question as well. Do I want to use history mode for the router? I'm gonna go no with this. And then so I'm gonna go with TSLint as my linting system. Okay, and we will add prettier configuration probably with that. Lint on save, lint and fix on commit. So for unit testing, I think I'll go with Jest. It's the most popular unit testing framework right now these days with React and Vue.js. And then for end-to-end testing, so for end-to-end testing, let's pick up I don't know, Cypress is fine, so we'll go with Cypress. Where do you prefer to place our config? So I'll put that in dedicated config files. I prefer to have like separate files in my project. And do I want to save this preset? I don't need that. Okay, so it's gonna install all these packages. This might take a bit of time because it will install all the dependencies, and we're gonna install Cypress takes a bit of time to install. While all that is happening, let's take a look at some of the libraries that we'll be using to build this project. So there's this interesting library called Vue class component. Now this Vue class component is a default and officially supported way of writing Vue.js code. There is a repository called Vue class component, which is part of the Vue.js official organization. It is maintained by the people who develop Vue.js, so it's 100% official, and it has this new syntax where you use a component decorator to create components, and instead of exporting an object when you want to create a component, you create a class called say my component, which extends from the Vue class. And here any fields that you create inside my component that works like data fields, and any functions that you create here, they work like methods. So data and methods do not need to be separate objects called data and methods. Any data field that you create is automatically data, and any function that you create is automatically a method. There is also this interesting library called Vue property decorators. This again is very, very popular in the Vue.js world. Everybody who's making Vue.js projects using TypeScript, they're using Vue property decorator. Vue property decorator, it helps you create things like you want to emit an event, you want to create a prop inside your component. You have decorators for all of that stuff. Okay, so this helps to do type checking for your props. Okay, then there's also another package that we would be using is Vuex module decorators. Now disclaimer, this is a package that I have built myself, so you might look at alternatives. There aren't exactly alternatives which do the exact same functionality, but there are other packages which make your Vuex store type safe. So what it does is that earlier you used to have like the Vuex store, which is written like this, like this module A, module B, you put them inside a store. Now you can create modules like classes. You give them a module decorator, and you write export default module name extends Vuex module, and you all of your data fields automatically act like state. So we'll get into this in more depth. Let's see if my project has been created here. Yeah, my project has been created. I'll just okay. Let me just open this up in Visual Studio Code. So we're gonna use Visual Studio Code as the IDE to develop this, which I think is a good option because it's free. Anybody can use that. You might be more comfortable using Atom or Brackets or WebStorm. So feel free to use any IDE that you want. No, not necessarily that you need to stick to Visual Studio Code. We're using this extension called VTUR Vetur, which is a package that helps give a lot of tooling and development support for Vue.js projects. Okay, and of course there's like inbuilt TypeScript support in Visual Studio Code. Now if you look at the default project that's been generated for us inside SRC, and now you see there's like all the files are TypeScript files, router.ts and main.ts, so on and so on. And if I take a look at my about home.vue file, so as you can see here, it does not export a object, but it exports a class called home that extends the Vue component like that. Okay, and of course, like if I just run this, so as soon as it's served, let's take a look at it's exactly the same project that gets by default created when you use Vue with JavaScript. Now we of course would be creating like adding all of these libraries that I need into my project, and I need to make sure that I have got like all of my linting and all that setup correctly going on about this project. So let's just build it like I build an actual project. Like if I have to build a real project, adding these libraries that I need right from the beginning, I need Vue property decorators. Oh, I think it's called Vue property decorator, not decorators. And I need to add Vuex module decorators. So these stuff I need to have like better TypeScript support on my project here. Okay, so I think that pretty much is all that I need for getting my project up from the ground. Like these are the basic libraries that I need to set my project up. So I think next part what we're going to do is start off with creating all of the required views and components in my project. So if you look up the real world project, there is a starter kit for front end. So if you want to build like your own real world project, there is a thing called a starter kit. So inside the real world starter kit, there is instructions for front end, and like these are the routes that I need to add inside my project. I need to add a home page, a sign in and sign up page, a settings page, editor page, article page, and a profile page so you see the profiles of other users. The styles, we will be just using this default CSS file that is provided to us because they have a precompiled bootstrap theme. These are a list of templates. I will just be copying the HTML from here. This is the header, the footer, and there are the pages for home, login, register, profile settings. So they're like HTML templates for all of these stuff. I'll be starting off from these. This is like hard-coded data here, and then I will one by one I would be removing hard-coded stuff and putting dynamic data that comes from the API into the templates in the next part. Okay, so stay tuned, watch the next part where I'm gonna do all of this stuff. Okay, so thank you for watching.